This is Live Life Love. Hello and welcome to the Live Life Love podcast. If this is your first time listening to the podcast, we are all about living a life you love and living your life full of love, which essentially means, creating the life that you want deep in your heart while also making sure that you are caring and a nice person to be around. And everybody's on different places in their journey right now. Of course, some people might just be trying to, get out of bed every day, just establish the very basics of living a life they love, while others might be further along in that journey. So today I am going to be braving the topic of breakups and essentially how to move forward after a breakup in a healthy and, I guess you can say, positive way. I recently went through a breakup around 2 months ago. So this topic is very relevant to me. I have been both the dumpy and the dumper, so I definitely understand the perspectives that come from each people. And when thinking about how I was going to move through my own breakup, I kind of thought about how I wanted the person I broke up with all those years ago to move through that breakup and what I wanted for them. And I feel like that gave me a very good perspective on the best way for me to move forward now. And obviously, I am only 2 months past my breakup, so I'm not completely moved on from it or anything like that. I think one of the most important things to remember about breakups is that it is a process. It does take time. Time is ultimately the greatest healer. So wherever you are at in your breakup, just know that it will probably get better. I'm saying probably because in my experience, breakups are very much like grieving in that there's kind of waves of easier times and harder times. So like I said, most important part is the journey, moving forward through things slowly and at whatever pace you need. I find myself Googling, how long is too long to, do X or do Y or move on. And ultimately, I think there is no answer. The internet cannot give you these answers or whatever answers you are looking for in your breakup. And I think that's most important to remember, especially since we do live in a world where, you can look up whatever you want. You can find the answers to whatever you want. But the one thing you won't find is help for your breakup. Honestly, I would recommend staying away from the internet and searching things like, how long should my breakup last? Will they come back? Why did they break up with me? You're not going to find the answers, unfortunately. You're going to have to really just take a step back and look at yourself and think about what you want for your life in the long term. And I think there are different degrees of breakups as well. Some breakups, you are just losing that person, but if you are more attached to that person, if you have kids, if this is more of a divorce situation, of course, there's even more complications there. And you are not just grieving the loss of that person, but you are grieving your life before. And so it is important that you give time for yourself to process all of your emotions. I've seen a lot of advice out there go out and do a bunch of things to distract yourself. And while I agree that it's good to stay busy, you also need to have dedicated time set aside to work through everything that you are feeling. Because if you are not working through those emotions, you are going to be just repressing them. This is especially more, I would say, often true for men who are taught more often to repress their feelings I don't know how many male listeners I do have, but I want them to know that this message is for them as well. And that bulldozing through those things, they're just going to sit there and they're going to fester, and you are going to have to deal with them at some point, or yourself will start to degrade. Like, you will start to be irritable and grumpy, and you just don't even know why. It's because you have those unprocessed emotions that you have not dealt with. So that is kind of the first step, or I would even lean away from there being steps, because it is like a non-linear journey. So I'm gonna not even say steps. I'm gonna say, on this non-linear journey, it is important that you make time to process your feelings, but also make sure that you stay busy so you're also not ruminating in those feelings. When you are processing those feelings, you shouldn't be sitting in them where you're stuck. And you might get stuck, so do not feel bad if you get stuck in those negative thinkings and any like negative thought patterns as well. Ultimately, the hope is to recognize the thought patterns you are having and break them. And if you have a hard time processing and working through your emotions by yourself, if this is not something that you have done before or something that you really feel up to the challenge of, I recommend going to a therapist if you can afford it to work through this, to work through the breakup. But I do also think that therapy does not work always for everyone, and some people do better making realizations and processing things on their own in their own time. And so you can write down your own thoughts. That is one way to process the emotions, but it also does not have to look that way. It should be whatever way that you process emotions the best, and which way makes the most sense for you. For me, this looked like impromptu spoken word poetry in my shower. So obviously a very unconventional way to process your emotions, but it's honestly what works for you. And if you don't know what works for you, try just writing down your thoughts or speaking your thoughts out loud. Really give them the space to exist so that you can feel them. And don't be afraid of crying. If you have someone that you want to talk about or rant with, that is completely fine too. And I also understand that there are a lot of different reasons for a breakup, but the ultimate goal of everything is to see what you can discover about yourself. Like, the breakup might not have anything to do with you at the end of the day. It might be completely, the other person and them dealing with their issues. And it's important that you can step back and recognize, oh, like, they broke up with me because of their issues, not my issues. But if there was an action that you took to cause the breakup, that's even another place to really have a lot of self-reflection and think, oh, like, how can I be better in the future? Why did I do the actions that I did? Or if the relationship was not where you wanted it to be, you need to figure out, how did you contribute to how the relationship had become. And also, sometimes people just don't work together, and that is important to remember. Like, even if you might have felt like somebody was your soulmate, they were the person you were meant to be with, they might not see it that way. And if they don't see it that way, then they weren't your soulmate. Like, there are a lot of people in the world out there, and I think, especially when you're online, the algorithm picks up on your breakup, and they be giving you all the, it can be scary looking at all the content, and it's like, oh, especially for me as a woman, it's like, oh, men are terrible, there's no good men in the world, and that can be really horrifying. But when I'm actually out in the world and I notice the kinds of people that are around me, it's not like, I'm not at a point where I'm interested in anyone, but what I see in the real world is not what I see on the internet, and that is very important to remember as you're moving through this as well. Now, one of the most important things that I don't know if I can say that I realized it recently, but I was reminded of it, and that is, yes, change is scary, and an ending can suck and hurt, and there are a lot of emotions that you're having there that absolutely deserve to have that space and that grieving. But also, with every ending, there is a new beginning. That is what is so, I guess I can say, awesome about a breakup. Obviously, breakups happen because something wasn't working in the relationship. And now that it's over, that thing that wasn't working is gone. And that is a huge weight off of your shoulders that you don't have to carry with you anymore. And even if you get in another relationship with that same person that you broke up with, which I'm not saying that you will, or that is the right path for you, but even if they do come back, or you decide to go back, like if it was not a abusive situation, because if it is an abusive situation, you deserve so much better, and you do not need to go back to that person under any circumstances, and I hope you really truly know that. But even that relationship that you had with a breakup, you have to view it as completely dead, completely gone. Well, not like completely gone, like obviously it still exists and you can have those memories. What I mean is, for your new beginning, like, it is completely fresh. Even if you get in a new relationship with that person, it has to be different from what you had before, because what you had before wasn't working. And maybe it was working for you, but it wasn't working for that other person. And so ultimately, whatever you had, that is gone. Like, whatever caused that breakup, that is gone. And to be honest, that is something that can be celebrated. You are finally free from that weight, from whatever that turmoil was that ultimately led to the breakup. And so now you can begin to have kind of a renewing of your life. And depending on how involved the relationship was and how entangled it was in your everyday life, this can look like a bigger new beginning or a smaller new beginning. But ultimately, it is something to be excited about. And if you are in the throes, like, I can understand that feeling of like, oh, I'm never gonna find anyone else, I'm never gonna be happy again, blah, 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 blah. But that is not true. You don't even need anybody else to be happy. At the end of the day, it is just a bonus part of life, but it is a good time to reflect on, what do you want to be happy? Like, what does a relationship need to look like in the future for you to be happy? And I suggest you move through all of the emotions of grieving, figuring out how you want to improve yourself from this, thinking about what lessons you can learn from this. Like, think about all of that definitely before you start and jump into a new relationship. Because if you do not deal with the ending of your most recent relationship, you will carry that through your next one. And then when that one ends, if it ends, which if it doesn't, I'm very happy for you, but when it ends, you are still going to have to deal with that. And even if that relationship doesn't end, probably that baggage that you're carrying is going to come up again. So please, please, please deal with your emotions before bringing in another person, because that new person does not deserve to play be second fiddle to the last person who your heart is still holding on to. And it is okay to carry someone with you, like carry them in your heart, but being able to maturely realize that something about that relationship was either not good for you or not good for them gives you the freedom to start to embrace and think about the ways that you want to enjoy your life. And with this new beginning, I think that's where the idea of getting new hobbies or new friends, just something else that really solidifies that new feeling, can be really good. And I know there's a lot of advice out there about removing any reminders of your ex, and I think that this can be good if you are ruminating on those items or they bring up a lot of pain for you and you're not really moving through that pain. Then you can put them away. I suggest putting them in a box instead of absolutely getting rid of them. Hide all those photos of you guys together on your phone, maybe instead of deleting them, because you might want them back again. But if you find that when you enter a new relationship, you are looking at those photos and comparing your new relationship against them, that might be the time to delete them. Yes. So it is a journey. You need to process those yucky emotions that you're carrying with you, and there can be lots of crying. It does not have to be a pretty process. It might not be a pretty process, but I promise you there is still joy in the world, and there is still beauty in the world, and you still have so much worth, even if it did not work out with that person. It not working out with that person is not necessarily a reflection of you. It's just part of the journey of life, and that is okay. And you are going to move through it, and you are going to be stronger, and you are going to find a something new. You're going to find something new. Whatever it is, you are going to find joy in something new. You are going to learn something new about yourself. And I am saying these as facts because they are facts. Because being stuck on someone, it's ultimately not fair to yourself or to that other person, because everyone is moving on or moving forward in their lives. And, you can be, I don't want to say you can't be stuck. If you are stuck, my heart goes absolutely out to you. I want you to get better. And the best way to get better is recognizing that you have to move on. You have to move on. It's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. You're going to be okay without that person. I promise you 1,000% that your life is still worth so much, even if it does not have that person. It's your life. It is not that person's life. Each person has an individual life, and we can come together and we can combine those lives for a period of time. And if they separate, you still have your own life, and you still have your own goals and all of the things that you want to accomplish in your life. And maybe you have relationship-oriented goals. I'm here to tell you that maybe you won't make those goals as soon as you originally wanted, but you can still make them. You can still go out there, and dating is not the best right now. I understand that, but sometimes just putting yourself out there, finding ways to connect with yourself and find out what you love and engage in activities that you love can more put yourself in a position to meet other like-minded people that you could really, really connect with. And that is absolutely beautiful. And I promise that your life will get better. That you do not need that person in your life. And that is ultimately what I want more than anything for the people that I both the people that I have been with in the past, is that I want them to go and be happy eventually. I want them to move on with their lives. I certainly, of course, still want one of them to come back to me, of course. But I also understand if ultimately I was not the right person for him. And I want more than anything that he finds the right person, because I love him. And if you really truly love someone and they have not done something super harmful to you, you want the best for them. You want them to have a wonderful life, and you don't want them to be stuck on you. And so in the same way, now that just like how when I dumped someone and wanted the best for them, now that I have been dumped, I am recognizing that and realizing that they might not say that they want the best for you, but if someone loves you, that they want the best for you too. And that means moving on and thriving with your life without them. And that's okay. And if they don't want that for you, I'm not going to say they don't love you, but, they should want what's best for you if they actually care about you. And it is very important to remember that. So I don't know how many people are, going through breakups right now. Probably not that many. But if you are going through a breakup and this helped you, I'm very, very glad. And yes, thank you so much for listening. Just know that I very much love and care about all of my listeners. And if at any point that you are experiencing negative thoughts that feel out of control, please, please, please seek professional help. Mental health problems are serious and can be as much of emergencies as physical health emergencies. So please remember that. Please take care of yourselves. And thank you for listening. Thank you so much for listening to the Live Life Love podcast. As always, please share this episode with your friends and family. Follow the podcast on Instagram at Live Life Love Pod, or visit the website livelifelovepodcast.com. You can find past episodes wherever you like to listen, and new episodes come out every Tuesday. Have a great day.